Hello, my name is Mariah Hampton. I am 22 years old and I am the daughter of an addict. This video is especially made for Victory Outreach in Santa Maria, California. You know, I've been meaning to make this video for some time now, but it's just been weighing on my heart recently. And so here I am gathering up the nerve to tell my story in hopes that whoever else is watching or is listening, I can make you think of addiction a little bit differently, or I could just show you a side or a perspective that maybe you haven't thought of before. I feel like addiction affects so many more people, not just the addict. So this is my roller coaster of emotions and feelings throughout my life that I would like to share with you guys. So here's my story. So we'll start from the very beginning of my childhood. So when I was born, my parents were both 16 years old. So they were teen parents to not just one, but two kids, because 11 months later, they had my younger sister. So my mom and dad, they were both the same age. They were both 17 at this time by the time they had two daughters. And as you can imagine, it was a very hectic, upbringing, just because they were so young and we were just babies. But my mom actually, she graduated on stage. She graduated high school with actually both me and my sister in her arms when she got her diploma. And I'm so proud of her. I can't even imagine what that would have been like, but she is amazing. And my father, he went to continuation school for a little bit, but then he actually dropped out to become a mechanic, one of the best mechanics in Santa Maria, California. My childhood for the most part was amazing and happy and loving and everything that I could wish for. My dad, he started drinking and doing drugs at a pretty young age. It just became something that he would do with his friends on the weekends when he would go out, or maybe when he was with his older uncles and cousins and things like that, he would kind of dabble into alcohol and drugs. But that kind of quickly escalated into becoming more casual and then into becoming more of a habit. So the drinking and the drugs just started becoming a lot more visible to me and my younger sister. The drugs and the alcohol, they made my dad become an angry person, a very violent, angry person. And as a young girl looking up to her father, that's supposed to be somebody that you look up to make you feel safe and make you feel comfortable and secure. And my dad did make me feel that way, but at the same time, I was so afraid of my dad. I was so scared of him because I saw what the drugs and the alcohol was doing to him. And we would be at a family function, we would be, even out in public. And as soon as he hit a certain amount of beers or alcohol, he just turned into this angry person who wanted to fight whoever was around him. And I'm talking about best friends, family members, my mom even. And fortunately, he was never abusive or aggressive towards me or my sister, but he was to everyone else around him. And he just became this very scary person when he drank and when he did drugs. Of course, when I was little, I didn't know about the drugs, but I quickly caught on. I felt like I grew up so quickly, but I also felt like I was so smart. I caught on to so many things that maybe other kids at my age didn't. And I felt like I understood a lot. So I knew something was off. I knew something was wrong. I knew, my dad wasn't doing things that he was supposed to be doing. And, soon after that, my mom and my dad, they split up. So they split up when I was around 5 years old. Me and my sister were 4 or 5 years old. And my dad actually, he was in and out of jail my entire life. My entire childhood, my entire life, my father was in and out of jail. And it's crazy because I remember being so young, writing letters to my dad in jail and giving him my best advice as a 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old girl. I just felt like I put on this role of like being his therapist or his just counseling him and telling him what to do or what I think is right for him to do to get his life back on track, because I was so sad and tired of seeing him be in and out of my life and go to jail. And being a young girl, you feel helpless. And at the end of each letter, I remember I would say, I am praying for you, I love you, and I forgive you. And it's so crazy to me to think back about that, because I always made sure to tell my dad that I forgave him. But never one time did I get an apology. To this day, I've never ever received an apology for all that he's put me through, all the ways that he made me feel, all the shame and embarrassment and anger and hurt and pain and absence. I've never received an apology, but I always made sure to let him know that he was forgiven and that I loved him and that I was praying for him. And just throughout my whole entire life, I just remember my mom and my grandma telling me, like, all you can do is pray for him. Because when somebody is addicted to something, you can't change them. They have to want the change. They have to want it. They have to want it so badly deep inside of them. And if they don't, if they're not ready, there's nothing that you can do but pray for them. And that was a lesson that I learned very early on, actually. And although that wasn't what I wanted to hear, you know, I wanted to hear, like, here, we're going to send him here and he's going to become sober and then all of our problems are solved. But that was not the case. I've literally received a card for every single holiday, special event, birthday, Father's Day, everything that you could think of, I've received a card for, because that's how often he would be in jail. And it just became something that me and my sister became accustomed to. Like, yeah, dad's gone right now. You know, he'll be back in a couple of months. Or it just became something that we were just it was so normalized in my life. Keeping in mind that my mom never wanted to keep me and my sister away from my dad. If you knew my dad, you knew that he had 2 daughters that he loved with all of his heart and that he was so proud of. And we had such a special connection. Like, when my dad was present, he was such an amazing father. Like, he was so loving. He just loved to laugh. He was a big kid at heart, and he was so great when he was present. And my mom never wanted to take that away from us. You know, although that was very hard as a mother to, you know, want to protect your babies and not allow them to see certain things. But it was definitely like I was living 2 different worlds when I would go to my mom's side of the family versus when I would go to my dad's side of the family. Because when I would go with my dad, there's no telling what was going to happen that weekend. You know, it was a lot to, you know, for as a young girl. So I felt like when I was younger, it just was always like, I forgive you, I love you. It became this routine of every time he would go to jail, I'd send him, we'd, you know, write letters, and then he'd come out and he'd pick us up from school. I'd run up to him and hug him and cry. We'd go out to eat, and then everything was great until he went back. And that was how it went. That was just my life, you know, with my dad. And I saw so much as a kid, the violent side of him. And I don't know if you've ever seen somebody that you love fight somebody before, but in my case, it was the scariest thing I've ever witnessed. Seeing my dad fight another man was the scariest thing I've ever seen. And it was just so traumatizing for me. And it was just like, at the end of the fight, he wouldn't even remember what happened, or like there was just so much that I felt like he completely blacked out and he wasn't even there. But here I am, this little girl, screaming my head off for my dad to stop hitting somebody. And it was a constant thing that I always saw, and it was so scary. And I would always try to protect my sister from seeing the things that I saw and from knowing the things that I knew. I just felt like even though I was 11 months older than her, I felt like I knew so much more than her. I felt like I knew everything that was going on and she didn't, and that's the way that I wanted it. I wanted to protect her. I wanted to keep her innocence, and I just wanted her to just see the loving, caring side of my dad and nothing more. So like while my dad's fighting outside in the middle of the night, like I was just like trying to tell my sister to go do something in the room, or I just felt like I constantly was trying to be her protector because I didn't want her to see things that I saw. And so I just felt like I had this huge role growing up that nobody told me to be. I felt like as the oldest sibling, like you just do things that way. And that has really affected me. But so then we get a little bit older. This is like middle school, high school. And during high school is when I got my car. But also as I got older is when my dad's addiction to drugs and alcohol became a lot more visible, a lot more aggressive, a lot more noticeable. And it really took a toll on my dad. At this age, of course, I knew it was drugs. And I actually remember one day going to see my dad and seeing just how skinny he looked and how deep and sunken in his eyes were and how dark circles around his eyes and his cheeks just all sunken in. And I just remember staring at him and feeling so sad. And I knew he wasn't happy. He did not look happy. He looked so drained of life. And I actually would call him out all the time on it. And I was just like, Dad, why do your eyes look like that? How come you look so skinny? What's going on? I would just I had this attitude with him because at this time, I was starting to get fed up with this lifestyle. I was doing so good as a child. My sister was doing so good. We were in so many sports and just doing good in school. And I felt like he wasn't there to see it. And it would I would get angry. So I remember when I would see things like this, I would call him out all the time. And he'd be like, oh, I'm just really tired. I couldn't sleep last night. And I've been going to the gym, so I've just been losing a lot of weight. And he would always have these excuses. And I just remember being so tired of it, just so tired of seeing this. Nobody wants to see their dad that way. Nobody wants to see a parent and somebody that you love in that way. It was just so sad. And so I felt like there was nothing I could do. And at this point, he has been in and out of rehab centers. He's been to so many different, sobriety homes, men's halfway homes. And this is actually where Victory Outreach comes into play, because I remember he went to Victory Outreach and he was sober for actually a very long time after this. But I remember he was joining Victory Outreach, and Victory Outreach actually allowed my dad to come to mine and my sister's birthday party to celebrate with us for a couple of hours. And I will never forget that birthday because it meant the world to me that my dad was there. And as a little kid, my dad just made me so emotional. Every time I saw my dad, I would cry. I would hug him and I would cry and hang on to him. I could vividly remember me running up to him and hugging him that day on my birthday. And he would try, and he would be sober for a good amount of time, and the addiction would just creep back in and he would fall back. So when I was in high school, this is when I started driving, and this is where my anger came out. It was no longer I feel bad for my dad, I'm sad that I'm missing him. It was more of you don't deserve to be in my life. You don't deserve to be present in my life. I'm doing so well. My mom is doing such an amazing job being a single mother. You don't deserve to see me. You don't deserve to be a part of my life. You don't deserve to love me. That's where I was feeling in high school. But I remember, since his addiction was just showing a lot more, this is where a lot of crazy things started to unravel, and I started seeing a lot more things. I just remember getting so many phone calls throughout the middle of the night, the middle of the day. It didn't matter, just crazy phone calls. Him just speaking, just saying crazy things. Him asking us to pick him up in the middle of the night from the most random places ever in the middle of nowhere. I actually remember him, it was 10 o'clock at night and it was pouring rain, and he had called me and my sister to go pick him up and to jumpstart his truck. So I was like, of course I have to go save my dad. Like, of course I'm gonna go do it. And that day is when I found out that he was living in his truck. And the feeling that I got as a daughter to find out that my father was living in his truck, it just, nothing added up. Nothing made sense to me. I didn't get it. I didn't understand why. He was such an amazing mechanic. He had his own business at one point that was doing so great. Like, how did he get here? Why did he let himself get here? He was so strong and he was so confident and happy. Like, how did that man get here? And why is he calling me, his daughter, to go pick him up in the middle of the night to jumpstart his truck that he's living in? There was so much. And you know, the funny thing is I love when my dad's in jail. When my dad is in jail, it makes me feel so good because I know he has a roof over his head. I know he has a bed to sleep in. I know he has food in his stomach, and I know he's sober. That's my mentality. So when I hear that he's in jail, I'm just like, thank God. I just hope that he's okay. And I'm glad that he's safe. I'm glad that he has a roof over his head tonight and that he has food in his system. That's really my mentality. I will never forget the day that he told me the drug that he was taking, or his drug of choice at the time. And I actually asked him. I felt like there's times where you think that you can handle the answer, but deep down inside, you know that maybe you shouldn't know. But at this time, I was young and I ignored that part of me, and I felt like I could handle the answer. So I said, Dad, what drugs are you on? What are you taking? And I remember him pausing and looking at me and saying, I don't know if this makes me a bad father to tell you this, but I will never lie to you if you ask me a question, so I will answer it for you. And he goes on to tell me that he is on crystal meth. That same night, I do all the research that I could possibly do on crystal meth and what it does to you and your body. And from that day forward, I feared my dad's death every single day. Every single day from that third year in high school. I was a junior in high school. Every single day from that moment, I feared that I was going to get a call in the middle of the night telling me that they found my dad dead on the side of the road. That was what I envisioned. That's what I feared every single day. And every single day from that moment, I prayed harder and harder and harder for my dad to heal from his addiction. So later on, my senior year, my dad goes back to jail again, and I decided this was the last letter I'm ever gonna write to him. I couldn't handle it anymore. I couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't take him just coming and going in my life. At this point, I had a boyfriend. I had my best friends. I was so involved in sports. I was the captain in cheerleading. I was the captain in tennis. Like, I was doing so good. I was so proud of who I was. And I was so disappointed that my father wasn't there to see it. Like, you know, I feel like as a kid, you grow up to make your parents proud. You want to see them proud. And I don't want to get things wrong, because my mom was so proud and loving that I never felt like I had anything less. I never felt like I was missing anything. But it was just disappointing to know that I had another parent that was not able to see any of my accomplishments. And he was physically on this earth, you know. That's another thing that I would just tell myself all the time. Like, my dad is alive. My dad is here. But it's just almost like he's not. And that is what's so painful and hurting. And so I remember writing him the letter. And in the letter, I wrote, If you decide to go back to drugs or alcohol after this last time in jail, do not come back to mine and my sister's life. This is the last letter I'm ever going to write to you, and you are not welcome in mine or my sister's life if you decide to go back to drugs or alcohol one more time. And of course, I ended with the I love you, the I'm praying for you, and the I forgive you. I didn't see or hear from my dad for 5 years after that. So it's fair to assume, the decisions that he made after that. And between those 5 years, it was anger, it was numbness. There was a time where I literally felt nothing towards my dad. There was a time that it was just, I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel anger, I didn't feel sad, I didn't feel hurt, I felt absolutely nothing. And I remember my second year of college, I did this exercise for myself to write to my dad again. And not because I was gonna send it to him, it was just something to get off of my chest. I remember in this letter, it was a happy letter. It was saying, hi dad, I'm now, how old was I? I'm now 19 years old. I go to San Francisco State University. I started my own makeup business. I was like, you would be so proud of me if you knew me today. And I was just kind of giving him an idea of who I was and what I like to do. And I reminded him of things that he taught me, like, Dad, because of you, I know how to change a tire. I know how to check my oil. I know how to do this. And it was a very happy letter. But it also said things like, why did you choose drugs over me and my sister? Why do you enjoy going to jail? Do you love it in there? Why? Why did you choose that over me and Brandy? Are you happier on drugs than when you're with me and my sister? I was asking questions like that in my letter. I remember ending my letter, I signed it, I folded it up, I cried my eyes out, and I started praying. And after my prayer, I found myself just immediately searching up addiction and looking it up and learning about all the things that I could possibly learn in that moment about what was addiction like, how severe addiction can be, and all about drug addiction. And it wasn't until then that I had completely forgiven my dad for everything and anything that he's ever done to me. And I let go of any grudges. I let go of all the anger. I let go of everything, and I grew compassion for him. It wasn't until that moment that I decided to put myself in his shoes and understand what addiction was like, to start feeling sorry and compassionate and love. Nothing but love for my dad. And I had this moment that I was just like, what was I thinking? Of course my dad doesn't love drugs more than me and my sister. Of course he doesn't love being in jail. Of course he doesn't love searching out on the street every single day, picking up pennies off of the floor to help him eat. Of course my dad doesn't love wearing the same clothes every single day, smelly and sweaty. Because I knew my dad. My dad loved to laugh. My dad loved all the hugs and kisses in the world. My dad loved to make people smile. He loved to be nice and clean in his clothes and smell good. That was my dad. But the person that is right now, the person that he is today, is the monster that drugs created. That person that is continuously going back to jail, the person that's violent and mean and aggressive and careless and says all those mean things and does all those crazy stuff, that's not my dad. And I had to learn, I had to understand that I cannot take any of those things personal. My dad never intentionally hurt me, ever. And it was just a reality check. I really had to have this conversation with myself, like, Mariah, my dad wants nothing more than to be present in mine and my sister's life. He would want nothing more than to be at my cheerleading events, at my school events, visiting me and helping me move into my dorms in San Francisco. He would want nothing more than that. But the drugs chose him. The drugs overtook him. The drugs overpowered him. And he's struggling. And he's in a deep hole and he needs help. And it's not as simple as I think. I used to just say, well, why can't you just stop? Why can't you just stop doing it? If you don't like it and if it's making you do bad things, then just stop. That's not how it works. And it wasn't until I tried to understand him. It wasn't until I tried to educate myself on addiction and what it was like. And I just feel like, how dare I just try judging somebody that I didn't even get where they were coming from. So fast forward to this past year. I seen my dad after 5 years. I've seen him twice. And all I wanted to do was to let my dad know, as long as you are sober or trying, you can call me at any moment. Call me, text me, I will be there. I will show you all the love in the world if you are trying. Because there is a point where when he is on drugs or when he's coming down from drugs, that he becomes a dangerous person. But where I'm at right now is I've given myself this room to feel unattached to my father, that I just want to be that person that when he is sober, it's almost like a reward, or it's kind of just like, okay, you're doing good, you're staying sober, okay, you can talk to me, tell me about your day, tell me what you know today. And all I want him to know is that I love him and that he is worthy of love, and that I believe wholeheartedly that he can be sober one day and live a healthy life. I believe it. I've never ever stopped praying for my dad, and I believe that one day he will become sober. And the second time I saw my father, it was not a very good interaction. He was coming down from drugs and I wasn't aware of it. And it does break your heart a little bit to see them on the street, the way that they're living, to see what they're wearing, to see his hair all grown out, to see the dirt under his nails, to see the cuts on him just from who knows what, to see the one bag that he has carrying with him. It's so sad. But I looked at him and I said, I love you so, so much. And I pray for you every single day. And I believe that you will be back in my life one day. And I can't wait for that one day to happen. So I'm just here to share with you guys that it's okay to feel hurt, and it's okay to feel angry. It's okay to feel all of those things that you have once felt. But I'm also here to encourage you to try to understand what addiction is and what it's like, and how hard it is for one person to go through alone. I would also like to encourage you, if you are someone that has been affected by somebody who is an addict, or if somebody has hurt you in any type of way, I want to emphasize and really just let you guys know the power of forgiveness. If someone has hurt you, please find it in you, or pray to find the courage in you to forgive. There is so much power in forgiveness. And I'm not telling you to forgive them for them. When I decided to forgive my father, it was for me. because you cannot fully heal in any way if you have not forgiven that person. You need to release the negativity. You need to release the grudge, get it out of you and forgive them. I just need to make that clear and known that there is so much power in forgiveness, and it's not easy. It is not easy, and for some people it takes years and years to learn to forgive somebody. But as long as you try, and as long as you one day do, that is what matters. Forgive them for you. And for Victory Outreach, to all the men that are watching right now, I am making this video especially for you, to tell you how proud I am of you, of where you are today. How happy I am for you that you are here making this change. I believe in you. I 100% believe in you, that you can continue to live a happy and sober lifestyle. And I'm so happy for you. And as a daughter, I am so proud of you, and thank you. Thank you for choosing you. Thank you for choosing a better lifestyle. Thank you for finding the strength and the courage to be sober again, because I understand some addicts are afraid to be sober again because they're so ashamed and embarrassed to face what they did when they were on drugs. I get it. And no, I've never been in your shoes, but I try my best to understand where you're coming from, and I have compassion for you. And I want you to know that you are so worthy of a second chance. You are so worthy of love. You are worthy for another chance of opportunity, of making money again, of providing for yourself again, providing for your family. I believe in you. I love you. I am so proud of you. Thank you. Thank you so much. I am truly I'm so grateful that you are making this change in your life. And whether this is your first time here at Victory Outreach or another sober home, or it's your 5th time, please don't ever give up. Don't ever, ever give up. And something that I admire about Victory Outreach is they come together and they support one another and they heal one another through God. And that's the key. You guys got it. You guys found what it takes to live a happy and sober life, and that's God. And so I'm so happy for you, and I'm always praying for you guys, and I'm excited for you. I know that good things are coming for you, and yeah. And to everyone else who is watching, again, I just want to encourage you guys to just, if you can't do anything physically for an addict in your life or somebody that you know, I really just encourage you to pray for them. If there's nothing more that you can do, pray for them. And God is always listening. Lastly, something that I'm very passionate about is affirmations. So to the men in Victory Outreach, something that I would like to encourage you guys to practice every single day, to yourselves or together. Maybe you guys want to turn it into an exercise. I want to encourage you to practice affirmations. And what affirmations is, it's a practice of words. You're affirming something to yourself that you may or may not find true at the moment. But the goal is to say it to yourself so many times that one day you will believe it and it will become true. So if I was practicing affirmations with you guys, I would say things like, I am strong, I am worthy, I am more than enough, I am a child of God, I am completely healed from the inside out, I forgive myself, I am sober, I am healthy, and I am the happiest that I have ever been. And every single day I find the strength to get through another day. I am love. And I just encourage you guys to practice that to yourself every single day, whether you look in the mirror or you just say it to yourself, but say it with your chest. Lastly, I would just like to mention that I have a small business that I started a few months ago, and it's called From an Angel. And From an Angel was created to uplift people and to spread love and to spread positivity. And there's this one design that I actually, well, not just one, there's two, but this one specific design, when I created it, I envisioned myself donating this design to all the victory outreaches, to all the sober living homes, to homeless shelters. I want to donate this one day. It's a dream of mine, and I just kind of want to show you guys so one day you can see it and know that it was from me. This is the first one. I am strong, I am worthy, I am enough. And I also have this one right here. It says strength, courage, and healing. And this is just designs that I created that I just feel like some people need to. It's my idea of wearing my heart on my sleeve. I put it on clothing of things that are close to my heart and things that I believe in. And so it's my dream to one day donate my clothing to you guys. So yeah, I just wanted to show you guys that. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope to at least have touched one person's heart today. Victory Outreach, I believe in you. I love what you're doing. And if you can all just keep my dad in your prayers, he'll find his way back to God one day. I believe it with my heart. I know it and I feel it. And I will never stop giving up on him. And I will never stop giving up on you guys. So thank you guys for watching, and I love you, and I'll see you soon. Bye.